Anna, your swimming looks really good. You should be proud of it. It looks so much better balanced when you breathe on both sides, and your kick looks amazing. Just be careful to keep it bubbling underwater, kicking up to the surface rather than breaking through. You don't ever want to be kicking the air, which you occasionally do when you duck your head too deep into the water. Speaking of your head, I think you turn your head too much to breathe. It might be different in the pool where it's smoother, but you really only need to turn one eye out to breathe. When you can see both eyes, it means you are turning around a long way to breathe, which affects how far your shoulders rotate, which in turn affects your whole body in the water, your catch, and the way you pull through the water. On top of that, I think you need to look at the bottom of the pool or ocean floor rather than having your head tilted forward as you look ahead of you underwater. When you're looking ahead, your hips drop, so it's harder to keep your body alignment and harder to pull through the water. Now, you still have rich veins of improvement to mine, and the front of your stroke is where you have to start digging. Fundamentally, you have to get as much water moving backwards to get you flying forwards. You could reach further over the top of the water, get your fingers pointed straight to the bottom ASAP, keep your elbow locked in a position of strength, and pull as much water back as you can. Come on, let's take a closer look. Let's look at the left hand first. It enters in front of the head, a little crossed up. Better to enter in front of the shoulder, or at least between the head and the shoulder. Then you can concentrate on pulling straight back rather than swerving it or making some adjustment through the stroke. Just pull straight back instead. Underwater, your lefty reaches forward. The fingers are cupped, but you really need them pointing down as you grab the water. Imagine if you could reach over the water instead of reaching out under it and enter with fingers angled down. That would help you catch the water way earlier and more quickly. I mean, look at this. As you stretch out underwater, your elbow drops and your palm is not really able to start pulling the water back because the elbow is too low, and you lose the strength or perhaps the potential of the catch. Look at this screen. The blue stick drawing shows you how your arm and elbow should be. The elbow needs to be above the wrist and then stay in that same powerful position relative to the wrist throughout the stroke. Because of the way you stretch your arm out underwater, you are not really in command of the water until you float down to here. This is the shape of strength where you have your elbow cocked and are ready to put everything into it. You need to get this shape of strength much closer to the surface of the water. That will do a lot to increase your speed. But there is a warning. Catching earlier and pulling harder with a stronger elbow will make you tired. Don't let the end of your stroke collapse. You can't let your elbow fold and release all the pressure early with a short stroke. You have to push that water towards your feet as you leave the water, as though you were throwing a stone at your feet. Okay, look at your right arm now. It really arrows into the water and sometimes causes your head to go too deep and your feet to kick up in the air. And just like your left side, the hand wastes the chance to catch the water at the start of the stroke. That elbow just needs to be a little closer to the surface so you can engage your back in your stroke and start pulling the water backwards quickly. Here, you can see how much work you do under the water before you start moving the water backwards. You arrow in, then sink to here, and maybe even further, and then start to rip the water backwards. Imagine if you could lengthen your stroke over the water, hold your elbow in a stronger position and start pulling the water back just 6 to 12 inches under the water rather than the 24 inches it looks like it's taking. One thing that could really help with your catch is to make sure you enter the water in front of your shoulders. And I know I said between your head and your shoulders might be okay, but watching you, I just think your catch will work better if you're a little bit wider, and that'll help you pull through straight, which might make a difference to everything. I'd love you to show your squad coach this video and see what he thinks. If someone asked you to change the way you walk, it would take time. Swimming can take time too, but I think with the kick you've got, you can improve the balance of your stroke even more and get this catch firing and watch your lap times come down. Really looking forward to even more improvement.